Hello students, how are you? I hope you are doing good. Students, welcome back to the class Gentlemen of Rio and Medio. Students, before going to start the class, we are going to check the previous class homework. Shall we check it? Okay students. The first question, why do you think the storyteller spoke Spanish? Let's check the answer. Because he was the native of New Mexico, Spanish was the language of some people of New Mexico. Second question, describe the old man's orchard. The old man's orchard was narrow and beautiful. A little creek ran through his land. His house was small and wretched but quaint. Move on to the next question. What was the reaction of the old man to the storyteller's offer? The answer is, the old man stood up and stared at the storyteller. He told him that the offer was an insult to him. Okay. The fourth question is, give one word for Spanish title of respect, much like sir in English. Do you know the answer? The answer is Don. Okay, thank you students. Let us move on to the next part, story time. I know you are very curious to watch a story. I am going to tell a story, listen to the story and trying to understand the theme of the story. Let us move on to the story.
Tale of a tree. I am a tree. I want to tell my little tale. You call me a tree now, but a few decades back, I was a little plant. A man, maybe your grandpa, planted me. He was young then. He put a fence around me, poured water and took care of me. I grew quickly because of his care and protection. Now, many birds live on my branches by building their nests. A few others visit me in search of nesting place. I also give shelter to many animals and insects. Every day, children play under my shadow. They climb up my branches, scream and run around me. I see my happiness in their play. During summer, I give fruits. I get a bit tired in summer because children, animals and birds busily keep plucking my fruits, although I find it's not a big trouble. Children, you may plant my little sons. They will grow like me one day. They too will have an exciting tale to tell your sons and daughters. Don't you think you would like that?
Let us move on to the text. First I am going to read the text. You just open your textbook and follow me and trying to identify the difficult words. Later we will discuss the new words and their usages. Seventh paragraph. Paragraph number 7. A month later, my friends had moved into Rio and Medio. They had replastered the old house, pruned the trees, patched the fence and moved in summer. One day, they came back to the office to complain. The children of the village were overrunning their property. They came every day and played under the trees, built little play fences around them, and took blossoms. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good naturedly in Spanish. Eighth paragraph. I sent a messenger up to the mountains for Don Anselmo. It took a week to arrange another meeting. When he arrived, he repeated his previous preliminary performance. He wore the same faded cutaway, carried the same stick, and was accompanied by the boy again. He shook hands all around,
sat down with the boy behind his chair, and talked about the weather. Finally, I broached the subject. Don Anselmo, about the ranch you sold to these people. They are good people and want to be your good neighbors always. When you sold to them, you signed a document, a deed, and in that deed, you agreed to several things. One thing was that they were to have the complete possession of the property. Now, Don Anselmo, it seems that every day the children of the village overrun the orchard and spend most of their time there. We would like to know if you, as the most respected man in the village, could not stop them from doing so in order that these people might enjoy their new home more in peace. Ninth paragraph. Don Anselmo stood up. We have all learned to love these Americans, he said, because they are good people and good neighbors. I sold them my property because I knew they were good people, but I did not sell them the trees in the orchard. 10th paragraph. This was bad, Don Anselmo. I pleaded. When one signs a deed and sells real property, one sells also everything that grows on the land and those trees. Every one of them are on the land and inside the boundaries of what you sold. 11th paragraph. Yes, I admit that, he said. You know, he added, I am the oldest man in the village. Almost everyone there is my relative, and all the children of Rio and Medio are my sobrinos and nietos, my descendants. Every time a child has been born in Rio and Medio since I took possession of the house from my mother, I have planted a tree for that child. The trees in that orchard are not mine, Senor. They belong to the children of the village. Every person in Rio and Medio born since the railroad came to Santa Fe owns a tree in that orchard. I did not sell the trees because I could not. They are not mine. 12th paragraph. There was nothing we could do. Legally, we owned the trees. But the old man had been so generous, refusing what amounted to a fortune for him. It took most of the following winter to buy the trees individually from the descendants of Don Anselmo in the valley of Rio en Medio.
Let's move on to the glossary words and usage. Okay. The first word, prune, to cut off some branches of a tree to make it grow better. So, this is called prune. We can see there are many branches of the tree are pruned. So, the usage of the word is, June is the best time to prune raspberry bushes. Blossoms, flowers on the tree. Blossoms means flowers on the tree. The usage of the word, fortunately the tree has excellent blossoms this year. Preliminary, which means, so prepare for something or prepare for something to start talking a new matter. Ranch, a very large farm. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕೃಷಿ ಭೂಮಿ. The usage of the word is, a herd of cattle is grazing in the ranch. Fortune, a large amount of money. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಇಡುವ ಹಣ. The usage of the word, they made a great fortune through real estate. Descendants, a group of people related to family that existed long ago. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ವಂಶಸ್ಥರು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Sri Rama is the descendant of Raghuvamsha. Sobrinos and Nietos. Sobrinos and Nietos, these are the Spanish words. Sobrinos and Nietos, which means grandchildren, nieces and nephews. Generous, kind hearted, noble in behavior. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಉದಾರವಾದ ಉದಾರತೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು. The usage of the word, they are generous enough to offer food grains to the flood affected people. You can see the two images, one is torn fence, another one is patched the fence. After purchasing of the orchard, Americans patched the fence. So, the orchard has gnarled trees earlier. After Americans purchased the orchard, they pruned the trees. Peeled off plaster, the house of Don Anselmo was peeled off plaster, and after purchase they replastered the house. So, valley, this is the image of valley, which means a land between the hill or between the mountains. Since the railroad came to Santa Fe, railroad means railway track. Dear students, let us watch a video clipping which is overall summary of the lesson Gentlemen of Rio en Medio.
Hello students. Now let us know about Gentleman of Rio en Medio, Don Anselmo, who was generous and loved and respected by all.
Hi, I'm Don Anselmo.
Hi, I'm Don Anselmo's kin. I accompany him everywhere.
Hello, I am the American buying Don Anselmo's orchard. Hi, I am buyer's friend, mediating all negotiations.
Don Anselmo lived in Rio en Medio, in a wretched house in the orchard which he inherited from his ancestors. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. He wanted to sell his land. Negotiations were going on. On the day of sale, Don Anselmo came to my office accompanied by one of his kin. He bowed to all in the room, removed his hat and gloves, slowly and carefully.
Don Anselmo, our engineer and surveyor discovered that you own more than 8 acres. Oh really? I never knew that. Buyer is a buena gente, and wants to pay you for the additional land.
Friend, don't insult me saying this. I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200. That's the price.
Finally the deed was signed. Don Anselmo took the money as agreed. He refused to take more amount. The Americans moved to Rio en Medio. They renovated the house, pruned the trees and patched the fence. But they were annoyed of the children of the village who were overrunning the property. When they were spoken to, they smiled and talked friendly with them. They wanted to meet Don Anselmo regarding this. It took a week to arrange the meeting.
Good evening, friends. Hope everything is fine. You are having good times in the orchard.
Really not. I have a complaint. That's why we are here. According to the deed, I have the complete possession of the property. Right? Yes. Indeed. I'm confused. Why are you asking this?
But the children overrun and spend most of their time in the orchard every day.
I sold him only my property, but not trees in the orchard.
This is very bad, and I didn't expect this from you. Dear Don Anselmo, when one sells a property, everything in the boundary belongs to the buyer.
True. But I have planted a tree for every newborn ever since I inherited it. Hence, the trees in that orchard are not mine.
So?
Every person in the village owns a tree. So I could not sell the trees. They are not mine.
What's the solution then? Friend, then we have to buy the trees individually.
It took most of the winter for the American to buy the trees individually from the villagers. The American had a happy life in the orchard thereafter.
How was the video clipping, dear students? It's very nice. Let's move on to the comprehension of the lesson. The first question, Don Anselmo inherited the house from his dash. The answer is mother. Next question, according to Don Anselmo, the real owners of the trees were. According to Don Anselmo, the real owners of the trees were the children of Rio and Medio. So, match the following. In list A, you have the words seller, a dark young boy, senor, real owners, some Americans. In list B, you have follower of the old man, buyers of the land, children of the village, Don Anselmo, the narrator, Mr. in English. I know you are already matched the words. Let us see the answer. Seller, Don Anselmo was the seller of the land. A dark young boy was the follower of the old man. Senor, Mr. in English. Senor means Mr. Real owners, children of the village were the real owners of the trees according to Don Anselmo. Let us move on to the next one. Some Americans, buyers of the land. Okay. Let us move on to the next question. What did the American family complain about? The American family complained that the children of the village were running all over the orchard. They played under the trees and plucked the flowers. When the Americans spoke to them, they laughed and talked back good naturedly in Spanish. You can see the images. In these images, we can see the children are playing under the tree, they are running over the orchard and making the little fences. Next question, why was the storyteller unable to convince the old man? The old man stuck to his words. He had not taken extra money. He told that he had sold the property and not the trees. He also told that the trees belonged to the children, they had been planted for them. Homophone. What is homophone? Homophone is a word that is pronounced the same as another word, but differs in meaning and spelling. Here we can see some examples with usage. We are not allowed to read aloud in library. Just you observe, allowed and allowed, both are pronounced same. Let us move on to the next example. I will write on the right side of the diary. I will write on the right side of the diary. Okay? Write and write are the homophones. Do you know where we are? No, I have no idea. So, observe the two words no and no. So, here are some examples. Let us move on to the next part, question tag. Dear students, you have some conversations here, listen to the conversations and trying to find out the question tags.
My grandpa drives the car, doesn't he?
Yes, he drives far.
You have 16 acres of land, haven't you? Yes, I do. They are dancing good, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I'm very curious of the deed, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Question tags are short questions on the end of statements used in conversation to get a positive reaction from the person you are talking. We use question tags to confirm the statement which we speak. Let us see some rules of question tags. If the statement is negative, the tag must be positive. If the statement is positive, the tag must be negative. One more rule, the tense of the tag is determined by the tense of the auxiliary or modal or verb of the statement. I will make it simple. Let us move on to some examples. The first one, auxiliary plus not plus pronoun plus question mark. This is the first rule for the positive sentences, positive statements. He is American, isn't he? You are free, aren't you? You can drive a car, can't you? Raju will be busy tomorrow, won't he? Just to observe these examples, students. These are all positive sentences or positive statements. We have to use negatives in the question tag. Is changes into isn't, and we add he and we put question mark. You just observe, he is American, isn't he? So, auxiliary is plus not isn't plus pronoun he plus question mark, isn't he. When you check the second example, you are free, aren't you? Auxiliary are plus not plus pronoun you, then we put question mark, aren't you. Next example, you can drive a car. So, here we use modal verb, modal auxiliary can plus not and pronoun you and followed by question mark, can't you. So, you can drive a car, the question tag is can't you. Raju will be busy tomorrow. So, will is a modal and plus not, will plus not, it become won't in question tag. Raju is a masculine gender. So, we use he, the pronoun he, and we put question mark, won't he. Raju will become won't he, got it. Let us move on to the next. In the negative sentences, auxiliary plus pronoun plus question mark. So, he is not American. So, already in the statement not is there. So, that is why we call it as negative sentence or negative statement. In tag we use only auxiliary is and pronoun he plus question mark, is he. You aren't free, are you? Again auxiliary are plus pronoun you plus question mark, are you. They haven't completed yet. So, haven't is a negative, we can use have auxiliary plus they pronoun plus question mark. These are the different types of examples. She likes ice cream. Here we have no auxiliary or modal verb. So, what should we do in such situations? We have to use do forms of auxiliary verb. So, likes is present tense or simple present tense. The word likes is simple present tense and third person she. So, that we use does in tag plus not plus pronoun she plus question mark. Just to observe, likes has no auxiliary verb. Instead of likes we use do forms of verb. So, the suitable do forms of verb for likes is does plus not, does plus not, doesn't, then pronoun she. So, we can at the end we put question mark, doesn't she. Second example, you play the guitar. So, here only the main verb used in this statement? You play the guitar. In this statement, only the main verb used, main verb is used, it has no auxiliary. So, that we use do forms of verb, present tense for second person you, do, plus not. So, do not or do not, and pronoun you followed by question mark, do not you. The third example, Harish and Salim went to cinema, didn't they? So, went is past tense or the past form. For went we use did as its auxiliary verb, did plus not didn't, and Harish and Salim both are plural, third person plural. So, we use they for third person plural, didn't they, and we put question mark at the end of the tag. Home assignment, the first question, why do you think the American people wanted to buy the land? Second question, what was the reply of Don Anselmo to the storyteller's complaint? Third question, Don Anselmo and Americans were generous in their own ways. Explain. Write the correct question tags for the following statements. Statement A, children like playing. I am late today. So, before going to stop my class, dear students, I will give you information about the QR code. Please open your textbook page number 45, and on the top of the page you have QR code. Please scan the QR code, you will get information about this lesson on Diksha application. Okay, thank you dear students for watching me. This is Lakshmikant IMH, Assistant Master, GJC, Sira, Madhugiri Education District. Thank you for watching me. Namaste.